Empires don't survive on armies alone. They survive on control. And in ancient China, the most extreme form of control wasn't on the battlefield, it was inside the palace. Because hidden behind silk curtains and silent hallways was a system designed not to rule land, but to own human lives. This is the dark truth behind the male concubines of Imperial China. Not warriors, not nobles, not servants, but boys turned into possessions. A true story from real life. Where are you tuning in from? Comment your city. Now, let's dive into our story. The Ming Dynasty is often remembered for grand architecture, strict laws, and powerful emperors. But its greatest strength was also its darkest weapon, absolute obedience. Inside the imperial palace, loyalty was considered too valuable to trust to free men, so the system created something else. Humans who could never form families, never build alliances, and never escape. Young boys, often taken from poor families, were sold, confiscated, or forcibly removed under the authority of the state. Once selected, their future ended before it truly began. Their bodies were altered, their identities erased, their voices silenced. From that moment on, they belonged to the palace, not as people, but as ornaments of power. Unlike female concubines, male concubines occupied a more disturbing role. They existed in a space where visibility meant danger and invisibility meant survival. They were trained to obey without question, to listen without reacting, to exist without being noticed. Every movement was watched, every word remembered, every mistake punished, and punishment wasn't meant to correct behavior. It was meant to break will. Why would an empire do this? Because emperors feared betrayal more than cruelty. A man without descendants could not build a rival family. A man without property could not gain influence. A man without freedom could not rebel. This was control in its purest form. Inside the palace, male concubines lived in constant uncertainty. Favor could mean comfort. Disfavor could mean disappearance. There were no trials, no explanations, no records kept for mercy, only silence. Many lived their entire lives, never leaving palace walls. Others vanished suddenly, removed quietly to maintain order. History rarely recorded their names because remembering them served no political purpose. The psychological cost was devastating. Imagine being raised knowing your life has already been decided, that your body is not yours, that your emotions are dangerous, that attachment is forbidden. Some learned to suppress all feeling. Others clung to routine just to survive another day. Friendships were risky. Trust was dangerous. Hope was fatal. And yet, this system was praised as necessary. Confucian ideals emphasized hierarchy, obedience, and order. Human suffering was justified as the price of stability. The empire prospered. The palace functioned flawlessly, and the cost was paid in forgotten lives. What makes this history even darker is how normalized it became. These boys were not seen as victims. They were seen as tools. Their suffering was invisible because it was institutional. No rebellion erupted over them. No laws were written to protect them. No memorials were built in their memory. They existed only to make the emperor feel secure. When emperors died, male concubines rarely gained freedom. Many were reassigned, isolated, or forced into lifelong service roles. Their youth was taken, their adulthood controlled, their old age ignored. Some died within palace walls. Others lived long enough to become living reminders of a system that no longer needed them. This wasn't an accident of history. It was a deliberate design, a system that treated humans as objects, a power structure that valued control over life, an empire that believed silence was loyalty. And here's the most disturbing part. This story isn't unique to China. Throughout history, powerful systems have always found ways to remove identity, agency, and voice in the name of order. The palace was just the most refined version of that idea. So, when we talk about great empires, we must ask a harder question. What kind of power requires people to be erased to survive? Because behind every golden age, there are shadows history chose not to remember. And those shadows were once human. If history teaches us anything, it's this. The most dangerous systems are the ones that work perfectly while destroying lives quietly.